Fashion and Tech Today exclusive interview.
Hey, Scarlett.
Hi, Paul. How's it going?
Hey, pretty good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
All right. I was going to ask, in one of your most memorable performances, you played the digital assistant Samantha in the film Her. And here in your upcoming film, Ghost in the Shell, you're once again starring as an artificially intelligent character. How did you prepare for this role, and can you cite any specific influences?
Well, I wouldn't say my character is actually an AI character because she has a human brain. She's sort of like a cyborg, I guess you would say. I didn't have any influences. I guess it'd be sort of an impossible character to be influenced by in some way, because she is, she's a person who is experiencing, well, she's a person and not.
Right, yeah. I know, it's complicated.
It's complicated, but she's experienced, a sort of a loss of identity, and, this film is as much about her search for, a cyber terrorist as it is about her search for the truth about herself, her own identity, her past, her, experiences that have kind of been taken from her.
Nice. I was going to ask, here you are, an empowered female main character in a futuristic police surveillance state where everyone's connected through technology. Dare I ask why now? What drew you to this role, and what do you think makes its themes particularly relevant today?
I think, this kind of oftentimes when we see the future portrayed, it's sort of in this dystopian way, and other times it seems sort of sterile and characterless. I think Rupert's idea of the future is one that is a lot more realistic, or at least based in some kind of realism. It I think, shows a society that is very much disconnected, by how, as a result of how connected they are.
Right.
And I think, also, of course, you see different characters in the film, people in general, having these sort of cyber enhancements that are meant to make life kind of easier or less feeling, but, in a way, some of the characters in this film, certainly my character, and also Pilu's character, Batu, expresses, who is very much human, really expresses this sort of longing for, just everyday life as it was, or as they either remember experiencing it or, have heard tale of. And I think, it seems like a conversation that's sort of echoed in today's,
the discourse, I was going to say.
I guess it seems like a conversation even I have with friends of mine, how we kind of, yearn for the good old days when you could actually just get on the phone and call somebody and,
right.
Have to decipher a text message or wait for an email or, I don't know, what the, as I watch my friends kind of struggle with the, with the appropriate email etiquette is or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Seems kind of, I think we all sort of, yearn for a time when everything was more to the point and more, I don't know, just visceral and real, I guess.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I know, because I send 1,000 emails a day, so I kind of notice that I have, a different voice when I'm sending emails, my language is, I almost like speak in boilerplate. It's really weird, but yeah, I know what you mean. Like how there's protocols, standards that we have to follow in that discourse, and it does seem a little impersonal at times.
Yeah, I think it's just I don't know. I mean, it seems like kind of Rupert's idea of the future is one that has both like beautiful possibilities, and also, it's sort of, I guess, a disconnect. But I really loved Rupert's vision for this project. I mean, when I saw the anime, it seemed like it would be a challenge to kind of fill it out. I didn't necessarily get from it exactly what this character's, the full picture of what this character's experience was. And, the script kind of followed the anime, and it was also, more plot-driven. It was hard to get a feel of what the character was, how the character was going to drive this story.
Right.
And, Rupert and I really talked about this story is kind of a coming-of-age story, or sort of a loss of innocence, which I hope comes across in the film. Of course, there's plenty of action. The world is explosive, and, it's visually, just intoxicating, I think, which is what the audience is expecting.
Mm-hmm.
But probably what they're not expecting, which hopefully takes them by a pleasant surprise, is, that this is really a character-driven story, and it's really the story of one woman's journey to understanding herself and accepting herself.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the anime as well, and back in the day, it's a very sophisticated animated film, and it does seem to have that emphasis on character and more than that, mystery. There's a kind of mystique to that character, and I noticed that this is a recurring thing in a lot of your roles. Like you tend to play. In one of my questions that I sent over, I said that looking at your through your filmography, we see a lot of rebels, misfits, skeptics, and black sheep who are often given power. Like Black Widow and your character in Under the Skin, Lucy, and now you're now the Major with this. Is there a conscious attraction between you and this kind of role? Do you think?
Gosh, I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't really thought about it. I guess perhaps subconsciously there is some kind of I don't know, some sort of connection, I guess, with these characters that are trying to I don't know, kind of carve a different story for themselves than perhaps is one that's expected of them, or I'm interested in characters that are curious about themselves, and I think that it's, I guess, because of that I've often played characters that are on this particular journey of self.
Right. Yeah.
That will probably change as I become, hopefully I'll always stay interested in myself, but
yeah.
I become jaded and, I don't know, bored. No, but I hope to always, I hope to always play characters that are questioning, that are questioning their own destiny, and characters that kind of fight against the status quo, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I know cybersecurity is an important component, here in the film, and it seems that more and more movies, over the last couple of years especially, and there, of course, is a lot going on topically, regarding this whole thing. But more and more movies are incorporating, cybersecurity as a plot device. Do you think this will continue to be an obsession in cinema as you look to fill more roles? And if so, why?
Well, I think so, because it's topical, like you said, and, it's a good threat. It has a good threat component to, a powerful threatening component to, any of these stories, right? It's like the total takeover. And, I think as we realize how vulnerable we are, and how dependent we've become on, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, cyber intelligence.
Right.
Barely like operate a BlackBerry, but I think we just we've sort of suddenly in the past couple of years gone, oh wait, there's a bad side, there's like a dark side to this. We've, I think as a society, kind of been living blissfully, just like just consuming information and also, giving information and have rarely thought about what the kind of long-term or even short-term consequences are. And, now it's certainly like, it's really come back, it's a wrath,
yeah.
It's like a beast, sort of, that it seemingly with no end in sight.
Yeah.
So I think it will continue to be a trend, definitely, and it certainly, it works well for plot device, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a double-edged sword, there are a lot of benefits, and then, of course, a lot of repercussions, a lot of, discussions of the fear of the surveillance state, and everything, which I know, plays into the film there. Speaking of, like, technology as a double-edged sword, looking back at your history with acting, there's a lot of variety there. There's also a lot of, like, classic theater experiences as well, like your work with the, in the Tennessee Williams play. So, I mean, as an actor, you play in a lot of big budget films that employ a lot of CGI, and I know some actors have talked about struggling with that relationship in the past. You'll see clips of them in front of blue screens or whatever, and they're trying to imagine what's in front of them. How would you describe your relationship between your art and the new technologies that kind of help to facilitate it?
I don't think that. It doesn't, acting in any kind of a CGI environment doesn't really change the process of acting so much. I mean, I wouldn't say it's much different than any other kind of, and it could be any sort of, contemporary theater piece, or even not. It depends on how something is staged. I mean, I remember seeing a production of Our Town not that long ago, and the stage was almost completely bare, just chairs, and that was it. And the whole cast were, in that kind of zone. They were experiencing probably a similar thing to how any other actor does in a CGI environment. Like I said, I don't think it's that different. You're making a kind of unbelievable experience seem believable, I guess. And when you're really in it and you're emoting and you're experiencing the character's emotional journey, then it doesn't really matter what's in front of you, I guess. You can either use what's in front of you or not. I mean, perhaps it makes it a little... You'd be surprised how you can kind of surprise yourself, I guess. And I think as I've gotten older, I've been able to suspend disbelief much more easily for some reason. I think because I'm maybe less self-conscious as an actor, and so I can kind of go far in an environment where I may in the past have felt self-conscious or goofy or weird. But it doesn't, it doesn't seem to have so much of a difference, I don't think.
Huh? Yeah, I've actually never thought of it that way. That's a good analog too with that that our town thing. That is true that you don't have that many resources really on the stage as well. That's great.
I mean, you can sometimes, but sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
I remember in that production at the end of the show when they're cooking the bacon, and all of a sudden they introduce the element of like real bacon cooking, and
right.
you could like smell it and see it, and it was so mystical. It was like really, it was an amazing experience. It was really a success because I think there was, like, the audience did have to go on this journey with the characters of kind of just, letting their imagination, free and trusting the actors to take them where they wanted to go. So when this, like, real element was added, it was, like, pretty powerful.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, we were kind of talking about this earlier, but, from your perspective, like, do you feel like all this technology, not in film, but, general, technology that we're using, like, do you feel like it's making us more connected or less?
I think it's both,
Yeah.
I talk to people that I don't have any social media, and I don't really know how to use it, so I'm probably, I guess I have a different perspective because of that, but, I look at people like my mom, who's on Facebook or whatever, and she has had enormous success finding people she probably never, thought she would ever see again, and reconnecting with them, and, that element of it is awesome, I think. Personally, if I haven't known somebody as, up until this point, like, my argument is, like, I don't want to hear from you.
Right, yeah.
I don't want to know, really, I'm, like, curious, but, like, not that curious, I mean, I have, like, I don't know, I guess I'm sort of, like, I keep my close friends pretty close, and, I don't know, that's it, but I think for some people, it's awesome, it really gives them, like, tools to reach out they never could have, or people that share, their life with relatives across the country or in the armed forces, or, that part of it is, like, FaceTime. I mean, that's amazing. That's how many marriages is that saved.
Right, yeah.
In other ways, like, it's sort of, the idea of, like, having, being able to be whoever you want to be, and, like, never really having to fail exactly, or, showing whatever parts of your life that you want everybody to see, and, like, this sort of, I don't know, facade of an existence you can create for yourself online is I think it's strange. That element of it is very dark to me. People, are disconnected from each other because they're disconnected from themselves and the reality of the life that they're living. That it can be. I mean, I'm making a huge generalization.
Yeah.
Part of it is I think, unhealthy and has a lot of negative effects on people in general, relationships in general.
Yeah, I know for some people it's liberating, but, there is a kind of constant escapism there that can be problematic for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it's, escapism is definitely important. I'm in the industry that is, I think, most successful at it in a lot of ways, and thank God for it. I love to be entertained and to, it's great to step into a dark theater and get away for a couple of hours, but, you have to actually be proactive and, like, go to a theater and buy a ticket and sit down and shut off. And, the fact that when you have a device and you're both, like, dealing with real life and fake life at the same time, and, sometimes you can be having a really, really, like, visceral conversation with somebody, important conversation with somebody, on your device, and can be simultaneously, living this other life, like that feels just as real. I guess it's strange. I think I don't know. It's a lot for the future generation also to navigate through. I wonder what will happen.
Yeah, this has been great, Scarlett, and I hate to finish up what has been kind of an intriguing and interesting discussion of technology and film and your new movie, of course, with a softball question, but it wouldn't feel it wouldn't be an interview if it didn't have I don't know why everyone does that. I don't know why we do that, but I was going to ask what's your favorite movie robot of all time?
My favorite movie robot of all time. I would probably have to say the Terminator, I guess.
That's an excellent choice.
Yeah, I got to go with the Terminator. Yeah, that's. I mean, I don't even think it's a contest.
That's great. Well, thank you again. This has been great, and good luck to you. And I look forward to your film.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.